Imagine 18th century Frankfurt, Germany, a bustling marketplace teeming with life. Here, amidst the cobbled streets and towering cathedrals, a young Jewish merchant named Meyer Amschel Rothschild lays the foundation for a financial dynasty that will echo through history. Facing prejudice and limitations within the Frankfurt ghetto, Rothschild defies the odds. He establishes a small banking house, leveraging his keen eye for business and a network of contacts stretching across Europe. Mayer Rothschild's brilliance extends beyond finance. He creates a revolutionary relay horse system, a network of swift riders carrying financial information across vast distances. In an era before the telegraph, this system gives Rothschild an unparalleled advantage. News of wars, political shifts, and economic fluctuations reach him first, allowing him to make strategic decisions that solidify his reputation as a financial powerhouse. As generations of Rothschilds take the helm, their wealth and influence soar. They become financiers to kings, queens, and governments, playing a role in shaping the course of history. From the labyrinthine negotiations of the Napoleonic Wars to the construction of iconic landmarks like the Suez Canal, the Rothschild name becomes synonymous with immense wealth and behind-the-scenes power. But whispers and accusations begin to swirl. Newspapers, fueled by a rising tide of anti-Semitism in Europe, paint the Rothschilds as shadowy figures manipulating events for their own gain. Were they simply astute financiers, or something more? This video separates fact from fiction, delving into the fascinating and complex story of the Rothschilds. The 19th century saw a rise in anti-Semitism across Europe, and the Rothschilds became a convenient target for these prejudices. Conspiracy theories about them flourished, often portraying them as shady people manipulating governments and economies through a web of powerful acquaintances. Here are some of the most common accusations. Rumors swarmed of how the Rothschilds secretly owned or influenced influential newspapers across Europe. This supposed control allowed them to manipulate public opinion in favor of their own agendas, swaying public support for wars or specific political candidates. Another theory centered on the Rothschilds using their wealth to influence elections and shape political landscapes. They were accused of secretly funding favorable candidates and parties, ensuring policies that benefited their financial interests. Perhaps the most pervasive image was that of the Rothschilds as secretive puppeteers, pulling the strings of power from behind the scenes. This trope portrayed them as masterminds controlling governments like puppets on a stage, manipulating world events for their own gain. The pamphlet wars of Paris in the 1840s marked a significant turning point. These were vicious exchanges of pamphlets and articles, often laced with anti-Semitism, that spread these conspiracy theories far and wide. The ease with which these pamphlets were disseminated through the growing print culture fueled public suspicion and distrust of the Rothschild family. It's important to add some nuance here. The Rothschilds did cultivate relationships with powerful figures, monarchs, politicians, and other key decision-makers. Nevertheless, this was a common practice for bankers in that era. Stability and predictability were essential for their financial ventures, and building good relations with those in power helped ensure a stable environment for conducting business. However, the extent to which these relationships translated into absolute control is highly exaggerated. Or is it? The Rothschilds were involved in financing wars throughout Europe, such as the Napoleonic Wars. Conspiracy theories suggest they profited by manipulating loans and stock prices during these conflicts. However, let's examine the reality of war finance. Governments raise funds during wartime by selling debt, essentially borrowing money from investors. These instruments, called war bonds, promise a return on investment after a set period. The Rothschilds were not the sole financiers of any war, but participants in a larger financial landscape involving other banks and institutions. Again, people believe the Rothschilds manipulated lending and market values to make a profit during wars. This didn't sit well with most. While their involvement in wartime finance is undeniable, their ability to control these markets entirely is unlikely. The complexities of war often lead to unpredictable economic fluctuations, making such manipulation highly speculative. One might argue that even if not the sole financiers, the Rothschilds' significant financial influence could have swayed political decisions towards war. This is a complex issue. Wartime economies benefit certain industries and financiers, a concept known as the military-industrial complex. However, a direct causal link between the Rothschilds' actions and specific wars is difficult to prove. Many factors contribute to the outbreak of war, and attributing it solely to the influence of one family is an oversimplification. Despite their vast wealth, the Rothschilds' power had limitations. Here's why absolute control is a myth. Ultimately, governments controlled national economies and military forces. The power to declare war and raise armies rested with them, not with private financiers like the Rothschilds. The 19th century saw the rise of central banks, taking over some financial functions previously handled by private banks. This shift further limited the Rothschilds' influence. The emergence of new financial players, particularly American banking institutions, further challenged the Rothschilds' dominance. The global financial landscape became more diversified, reducing their relative power. Power dynamics throughout history are constantly in flux. The rise and fall of empires, the emergence of new economic players, these factors all contribute to a complex and ever-changing landscape. To suggest the Rothschilds maintained absolute control over a long period simply ignores the realities of historical change. While the focus has been on financial influence, the Rothschilds' impact extended beyond pure finance in several noteworthy ways. They were adept diplomats and advisors, acting as intermediaries and negotiators between different European powers. Their financial clout gave them a seat at the table during important discussions. For example, Nathan Mayer Rothschild played a key role in financing the Allied forces against Napoleon. His network of contacts and ability to move large sums of money quickly were crucial to the war effort. However, it's important to emphasize that their influence, while significant, had limitations. They could advise on strategies and facilitate transactions, but they could not dictate policy to powerful monarchs. The Rothschilds were also renowned patrons of the arts, sponsoring artists, musicians, and writers. They amassed impressive collections of art and provided financial support to many creative minds. This patronage helped shape the cultural landscape of Europe in the 19th century. The Louvre Museum in Paris and the British National Gallery in London both house artworks acquired through the Rothschild family. The Rothschilds have a long history of philanthropy, giving back to communities and supporting a wide range of causes. Their charitable endeavors span social welfare initiatives, education, and scientific research. For example, the Edmund de Rothschild Foundation continues to fund educational programs and scientific research projects around the world. It's important to note that philanthropic efforts don't erase potential criticisms of their business practices, but it does add another layer to their complex legacy. The Rothschild story is also one of integration and assimilation. As the family rose to prominence, they navigated a complex social landscape marked by anti-Semitism. Some members converted to Christianity, while others maintained their Jewish identity. Their experiences highlight the challenges faced by minorities striving for social acceptance in 19th century Europe. Understanding the Rothschilds beyond the lens of finance allows for a more nuanced historical perspective. They were not just wealthy financiers, but also skilled diplomats, patrons of the arts, philanthropists, and individuals navigating the complexities of social identity. The concept of a New World Order (NWO) conspiracy theory has gained traction in recent times, particularly online. This theory positions the Rothschilds as key players in a supposed plot for global domination by a shadowy elite. However, the reality of global power structures is much more complex. Here's why the theory falls short. Global power is not wielded by a single cabal. It's a complex web of interconnected governments, institutions, UN, World Bank, multinational corporations, and powerful individuals. While the Rothschilds may be wealthy and influential, again, they are just one thread in this intricate tapestry. These theories are dangerous for several reasons. Firstly, they fuel anti-Semitism. By portraying the Rothschilds, a Jewish family, as the masterminds behind a global conspiracy, they perpetuate historical prejudices. Secondly, they sow distrust in legitimate global institutions. Although a lot of distrust is warranted for numerous reasons, it also hinders cooperation on issues like climate change or global health crises. Finally, they promote dangerous simplifications of complex geopolitical issues. The world's problems are multifaceted and require nuanced solutions, not simplistic explanations offered by conspiracy theories. Scholars who research these schemes delve into the motivations behind them. Often, these theories stem from a sense of powerlessness and a desire for simple explanations in a complex world. People crave a sense of control, and these theories offer a scapegoat for complex problems. The NWO narrative often thrives on the idea of secrecy. Powerful figures meeting in hidden locations to make decisions that impact the world fuels suspicion. However, the reality of international relations is far less dramatic. Treaties are negotiated in public forums, and the workings of major institutions are documented and scrutinized. The next time you encounter an NWO conspiracy theory, remember this: the world is a complex place, and the levers of power are spread across a vast and diverse network. Understanding this complexity is far more productive than clinging to simplistic narratives based on prejudice and misinformation. The Rothschild family continues philanthropic work in education, healthcare, and scientific research. However, anti-Semitic conspiracy theories persist online, often spread through forums and social media. The digital age demands media literacy to combat misinformation. Efforts are underway to counter anti-Semitism and conspiracy theories online. While some criticize the Rothschilds' business practices, such as accusations of predatory lending and market manipulation, it's important to remember these were criticisms commonly leveled at financiers of that era. The Rothschilds wielded vast influence in the financial world, reflecting the rise of nation-states and global capitalism. Their story is intricately woven into the fabric of history. There's no evidence for a secret plot for global control. Be wary of conspiracy theories based on prejudice and stereotypes. Let's strive to understand the complexities of wealth, power, and historical events. The Rothschilds played a significant role in shaping the financial landscape, but their story deserves to be told with and beyond the conspiracies. So what are your thoughts on this powerful family? Do you believe the many narratives that swirl about them? Let me know down below. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more content like this.
It's London Lee.